Right, so hello to everyone. I'm Cinzia Giulietti from Capgemini. I'm based in Rome, the Eternal City. So really nice to welcome you here today. Just two words on who I am. I run a very small group of experts in non-profit donor organizations. And we've been doing that for about 15 years from Rome. We have one of the biggest agencies here, which is WFP, that we've been proud to work for the last 10, 12 years. Hope we've also played we're a tiny little cog in the machine that won the Nobel Prize at the end of the day, I hope. Right, so today we'll be talking about zero hunger and the SDGs. And we'll have some experts from my company looking at some interesting use cases in this sense. There's Maureen and Christian and Gulbiga and Adian who will be talking later. I'm not an AI expert. I'm more someone who knows about the SDGs. So it's the mix of capabilities that I think that brings richness to the table. Let's go to the next slide, Yoti.
For the paucity of time, we can skip the survey.
Oh, we're going to skip that. Okay, good. So right back into the presentation. So first of all, the SDGs. In zero hunger, of course, there are some concurring SDGs as well, and certainly poverty plays a good role in this: health and well-being, responsible consumption, and of course, life under the sea, where part of our food comes from as well. A snapshot of the temperature check of goal 2, taken I think at the end of last year, shows that there are not so many greens, and not only possibly COVID might have worsened this. So let's see if AI can be one of the levers, because we need many levers for this, to take us to a green status on the heat map. Next slide, please, Yoti. And if we look at the UN stats on the SDGs up until 2019, there was real positive trends, always not reaching exactly where we want to go, but still with a positive trend. This year has really caused havoc. And we need to recharge the way we are working towards the SDGs. And AI seems a viable and not particularly controversial lever in the sense it is more so in other aspects. But if we're looking at being more efficient and wasting less and so on, it looks as though it could be a really non-controversial way to go forward. So AI is underway anyway in these areas. And so next slide, Yoti. Where we will be seeing AI will be in the production of food. Agriculture employs over 25% of the world's population. It's responsible for sustaining 7.5 billion people, and this is going to increase. And a staggering number of these people are food insecure. So we need to brace for producing far more food. We need many levers to do that. So that will be one of the aspects that needs to be looked at. We need to be able to improve the way we distribute food. We need to waste less. The world's population by 2050 means we will need to increase by 70% the amount of food we produce. We waste an incredible amount. I think it's something like 20%. So that is also something that we need to work on. And of course, people need to not only eat, they need to eat healthily to have a long and useful life and happy life. So it's also the way we eat that is important. So we can't just feed one grain to everybody. We need to have a balanced diet. And that also needs, on the one hand, education. We need, with our Fitbit, we check the way we're doing exercise, and we need to do the same thing with food. Next slide, please, Yoti. And I'm going to rush through. These are just some of the applications in weather patterns that impact our productivity. We need to minimize waste, so there are ways of doing that, and we'll see some of the use cases around this. We need to be able to have healthier food and match that with the available economic or spend capability of people. So there's also work being done in that area. Next slide, please. And of course, governments are doing their bit. And here we have a few examples from India, China, and Mexico. And of course, also at the industrial level, let's not ever forget that, you know, the sea is also an important part of our planet. It covers 70%, and we need to protect and ensure that the way we fish and procure precious protein is sustainable in time. So aquacultures are using more AI. We use AI in managing soil, crop, mechanization of the farms, and so on. I'm now going to leave you to the sexier part of the presentation, which I leave in the hands of Maureen, who's going to talk about their use case. So thank you very much. And Maureen, you will introduce yourself, I suppose.
Hello, Maran.
Good day, everyone. I'm trying to share my screen, but apparently it's being disabled.
No problem. I will continue it for you.
Okay. I'll be saying next a lot then. Next, please. Hi, everyone. I'm Marcus here, Senior Data Scientist and Artificial Intelligence Lead of Capgemini Netherlands. Food, we're here to talk about food, and we're here to talk about AI, because there's a big overlap between food and AI, I learned. Because both food and AI are useless if you only talk about it. You got to let people taste it. Otherwise, they won't believe you. Otherwise, you're a chef who refuses to cook. And it's the same with AI. Next slide, please. A few years ago, when we started out building everything from analytical models to see which of your employees is unhappy or prone to depression, so you, from an HR point of view, can help out. Or the project that we do for farmers in Kenya, Project Farm, spoken about previously on this day, where we use AI and analytics to predict what the yield will be for farmers end of season. Or even what we're doing to detect at the bottom the tail fins of whales using image recognition and AI to identify unique whale tail sightings, so we can track how whales are doing and how their population is doing, and if they're, you know, healthy, based on tail sightings without needing to put sensors up their tail, which is highly uncomfortable if I were a whale. But these are just some examples of what we're doing nowadays with AI to actually serve public good. As an example of talking about AI is useless if you can't show examples of it, because otherwise people will think you're a chef who can't cook. Next slide, please. Which brings us to the current project that I've been asked to talk about, which is, next slide, please, which is Project Enhance. Next slide, please. This is going to be bothersome. Project Enhance is a collaboration between Capgemini, World Food Programme, Johns Hopkins Center for a Livable Future, and Tilburg University's Zero Hunger Lab. It starts out with a very simple problem. Next slide, please. Did you know that to feed the world, there's a lot of people to feed on the world, you need to feed people with more than just energy sufficient nutrients. There's a big difference between getting enough food to sustain you for a day and getting enough food to sustain you for a month, for a year, or for a lifetime. And even though we manage, next point, please. Yes, there we go, thank you. And even though we manage to feed the majority of the world for energy needs, that doesn't mean they meet nutrition needs or are actually consuming healthy food on a daily basis. both on the upper and lower levels of the income system in the world, we have issues over here. Now, I'm a data scientist. I don't know much about food. I'm still learning to cook during the pandemic, you know. But the point here is, next slide, please, that food is complex. We have what 800 more than 800 million people in the world who do not meet nutrition needs, according to data from last year. But there's a huge difference between starving and malnutrition and proper brain function, development, for example, where the majority of kids in, for example, developing countries manage to meet nutritious and energy sustaining needs, but they do not get stuff like the fish oil that you actually need for neofrontal lobe development. Next slide, please. So this is a complex system. We have actually enough food, apparently, to feed the world, but you have logistics coming in, you have transport issues, you have range, you have stuff spoiling, and you have more than 500 factors at play with regards to nutrition. And that is why Project Enhance is a collaboration between academics who figure out the nutrition part, the World Food Program who figures out the logistics part, more academics to figure out the machine learning part, because we need basically very advanced models to calculate how to feed the most people as efficiently as possible, and us Capgemini, because we like to host platforms and build IT infrastructure. You're gonna need a very big computer to handle this. And a few years ago, this was still also called statistics and machine learning. Nowadays, we call everything AI, which is so much more sexy, believe me. As a statistician, I was not attractive at all. But to get back to the matter at hand, we have a challenge, a lot of people not meeting various nutritious needs. Next slide, please. And then we have the analysis that we need to run to solve this problem, because we are juggling so many factors here, not only nutritious needs, but also, okay, where's the food produced? How much is it priced? How much to transport it from country A to B? What are the environmental factors at play? That's something you also need to take into account when you run this giant calculator. And nutritious needs in the short term as well as in the long term. And how much CO2 emission are you getting from the transport? Next slide, please. This is all stuff we can calculate. And the output of such models can be used to create diets that are not only sustainable for the individual, but also sustainable for the environment, and also culturally appropriate, because please don't try to funnel pork to the Middle East, you know, that's not gonna work. And because we can run those numbers, and we have prototype models that can run, but they don't work at scale yet. Next slide, please. We can translate those findings into advice to governments, for policy, to local agencies, to NGOs like the World Food Program that provide local agencies with, well, directly food, but also advice on how to run these things. So we have data, we have analytics, we have outcomes, and we have policy at local and global levels that we can base on the outcomes of these models. Next slide, please. So this is the whole view, where from end to end, Project Enhance seeks to improve the way we run food in the world. Basically by getting a whole lot of data and getting a whole lot of optimization from academics to improve the food supply chain in the world. Especially in times of famine, when we need to be able to calculate as accurately as possible how many people you can feed given limited time, distance, and budget constraints. Because if you run that model better, if you can make a better calculation at that point in time during a famine, you are literally saving lives. And for that, you need this computer to run properly. Next slide, please. So our solution, which we are developing right now, is a big data and AI powered platform that takes information, models, insights straight from science and scales those for evidence-based decision-making at both the world, global, as well as specific country and individual levels. Next slide, please. Just using this, next please. Using this, not only can we balance costs and nutrition and environment to feed families, next, but also countries, next, and also the world, next. Because Project Enhance is set out to help feed the world better. Thank you.
Thank you, Marine. So next we have from Project YumYum, Christian, Khalid, and Adityan. You now have the floor.
Awesome. Can you see my screen?
I'll just stop sharing and you can share it. Yeah, we are.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm G from Team Zero Hunger in Schools from Capgemini, Australia. Today, my colleagues Adi and Christian and I are going to present our solution to reduce hunger in schools and how AI support this process. Our solution started as one of the 162 Ideas in Tech for Positive Futures Challenge, which is a global Capgemini CSR initiative. And we are one of the 3 winners globally alongside teams from India and UK. So when we started this project March this year, 66 million primary school age children were going school hungry every day. Today, an estimated 379 million children miss school meals because of school closures during pandemic. And with all the job losses and changes due to COVID, we believe this number won't decrease anytime soon. But what if we could predict which children will go to school hungry next week and intervene before they even know they will go hungry? With the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning, our solution will do just that. Our vision is to nurture the minds and unlock a world of possibilities for hungry children and hopefully create positive futures for them. Our solution relates to 3 different United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The first one is zero hunger. So our solution YumYum platform is an emergency meal system that connects schools with food donation partners, enabling schools to provide food to hungry children. We hope that this will also reduce the inequality between those who can access food easily and those who cannot. Also, with our inventory tracking system, we are also hoping to reduce food wastage by optimizing the supply chain. Now, I'll pass it to Adi to explain the technology behind our solution.
Thank you, G. So as the earlier statistic highlighted, and our global society slowly recovers from the economic and societal impacts of the pandemic, we asked this question to ourselves: how can we support schools, global humanitarian organizations, such as the United Nations World Food Programme, in the quest to feed the 379 million children who are now going hungry with missed school meals? Our solution is the YumYum platform, which at its heart will provide greater connection for schools and partner organizations using intelligent technology in artificial intelligence and data-driven insights to address this issue. Artificial intelligence as a concept can break new grounds for humanity, and it's most impactful when we're tackling a problem that's remained unsolved across geographies globally. The issue our team is looking to address is the countless children who go to school hungry every day. I'm sure you'll agree with me that solving hunger in one school in a specific geography sounds feasible. But what about at scale? Enter the potential of artificial intelligence, which has immense processing power and the ability to expedite processes, driving informed decision-making with data. And most importantly, AI provides expertise to solving food insecurity with predictive algorithms matching the right meal to each child, accounting for dietary preferences, and therefore reducing the burden on teachers and school staff with the support of global non-for-profit organizations. But let us pause and think about this question. What if we could predict which children will go to school hungry and intervene well in advance? With the wonderful applications of AI to our YumYum platform, this is possible. With advanced predictive analytics driving the order placement capabilities of our YumYum platform, we can use current and historical data trends on, say, number of children fed at schools, meal request types, order dates, and mood, and provide real-time personalized suggestions that we can connect people willing to provide food to schools and feed children proactively. Our YumYum platform will also use the power of AI and machine learning algorithms to forecast demand and optimize the supply, storage, and distribution of food. As we scale our platform first nationally and then globally, data inputs such as past order history, seasonal patterns, dietary preferences, and welfare payment cycles can all collectively drive a predictive learning model which alerts partners on expected demand for a particular school and create a smarter inventory, minimizing food wastage, transforming current food systems, and creating a more sustainable environment for all involved, ultimately feeding hungry children in the most efficient way possible. Our platform will also connect large food relief organizations to schools each day. And here we witness the exciting use of machine learning optimization tools to enable real-time routing of food stock orders, driving well-organized food delivery and distribution in schools. By feeding several streams of live traffic data with designated delivery time windows and vehicle information into a powerful predictive algorithm, we see that partners in the future will have the necessary tools to sequence deliveries based on proximity, use the power of AI to make predictions on connecting partners to nearby schools, and even cater for the delivery of fresh food to children, which was not possible with previous approaches. All of this collectively ensures that students are fed with nutritious and healthy food in a timely manner. So we see our YumYum platform offering a data-driven, targeted approach to solving the crisis of children going hungry at school. I'll now pass it over to Christian to go over how our solution addresses the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and also go over our next steps for the project.
Great, thank you, Adi. So our team is proud to share that our solution was specifically designed with the following United Nations Sustainable Development Goals in mind as a main judging criteria for the Global Tech for Positive Futures Challenge. So how does the YumYum platform address the UN Sustainable Development Goals? To begin with, we believe that every child deserves access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food, which brings us to our mission, and that is to connect hungry children with people willing to provide food. This will ensure continued access to food for hungry kids at school, helping to nurture their minds and also unlocking a world of possibilities for their future. There is also a clear and evident need to move towards more sustainable patterns of consumption and production. Our YumYum platform has been designed to address this need, connecting food providers, for example, food rescue organizations, with schools, enabling these organizations to redistribute quality surplus food to schools, promoting sustainable practices, and helping us to make the most of the Earth's resources for future generations. Not to mention the tremendous financial, ethical, and environmental costs associated with global food wastage, which is where we see the exciting potential for our platform, leveraging machine learning and predictive analytics to help forecast demand for meals and also optimize the supply, storage, and distribution of food, helping organizations and society in the fight to eliminate food wastage. And lastly, when it comes to equal opportunity and reducing inequalities, we understand that food security for children improves their ability to focus, learn, and be who they want to be. This serves as the foundation for our YumYum platform, promoting food security for children by leveraging the power of connection, connecting hungry children with people and organizations dedicated to feeding hungry kids. So what does the future for the YumYum platform look like? Here we are engaging partners and going through an accelerated build, then launching a pilot with plans to scale nationally in 2021 before taking it global with the support of the Capgemini group, understanding that if you make the world better for kids, you make it better for everyone. Thank you, and we look forward to having everyone on this incredible journey with us to create positive futures for children around the world.
I'll just share my screen. So we'll move on to the last round. As we have time, I will quickly present the survey for you guys to answer. So just sharing my screen. So people who are not able to scan the QR codes can go to menti.com and type in the code. They should be able to get to answer the survey.
Yeah, shall we stop it here, and then so we have at least a small opportunity for some Q&A?
Sure.
So it looks as though we mostly think it's an opportunity, and I tend to agree. Given all the things that have been said today, that we need to, of course, consider in terms of legality, ethics, and so on, and privacy, and equity.
So for this question, you would be presented with a few use cases. You'd have to rate them based on the impact and the feasibility for this particular SDG.
So it looks as though we tend to think that food response is really important. It's feasible, and it actually makes an impact. You know, the agencies that do emergency response don't only do that, they also work a lot with the national governments to help them and sustain them and strengthen, and, you know, provide the advisory service to strengthen the local governments and so on, because that is a significant part of their work, apart from dealing and the capacity to deal with emergencies, which of course is essential. But then you need to leave behind a place that can look after itself. You know, it's not just providing the fish, but it's also providing the rod and the know-how.
I think we can close the survey now.
Yeah.
We can take questions if anybody has any. So the questions can be written on the chat box, and I will present it to the speakers.
So it looks as though we're not getting too many questions. I don't know if our experts want to say something else, something more that they, because we were rushed, we probably didn't say everything we wanted to say. I know I certainly didn't. So I'm sure you've got something you want to add to enrich what you told us before about your interesting cases.
I may mention one thing regarding AI and food. I started out in this field 6 years ago when Ebola was still a thing, you know, back in the day. But back then, no one called it AI. We didn't even call it data science, machine learning, or big data. We just called it statistics. And I've seen this field develop in terms of names over the course of the last 2 years, wildly. Every 2 years, we start calling it differently. But the purpose and the techniques we use are still the same. It's still, we're building data models to help improve people's lives, to save lives. And I'm sure that in 2 or 3 years time, we will be holding a global conference, and I don't know, we'll call it quantum or something. But I'm pretty sure we'll still be doing the same thing, doing good with data. And I would like you to keep that in mind next time you see a buzzword pass by on LinkedIn.
Thank you, Maureen. I wanted to just quote David Beasley, who's the director of WFP, seeing as right in this moment everybody's looking for a vaccine for COVID, but there is a vaccine for hunger. It's called food. I think that is just such a baseline thing of humanity, you know. So yeah, and going back to the buzzwords, I studied computer science when most of the people who are here might not even have been a thought in their parents' head. So, so I understand what you're saying, Maureen, and how we rebrand things over time. But you know, the computing capabilities that we have now just allow us to do so much more, and that really makes the difference. You know, I was dabbling with neural networks at the end of the 90s. Yeah. But now it's a reality. So machine learning is a reality because we have the computational capabilities. Yeah. As well.
Let's not forget, we got those computational capabilities from one very important field, and that is video games. I tell my dad that every time.
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
I have my field thanks to video games.
Thank you very much. So if there are no other questions here, if our colleagues from Australia want to join in and say a last word. Christian, you were the last one to speak.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we just really, I guess, we just really want to thank everyone, especially at Capgemini, and the support that we've had. Understanding that it is quite difficult to make meaningful change when it comes to technology and addressing, for example, systemic complex problems like food insecurity in the world. So yeah, I think we are really grateful as a team for the support that we've had, and also for everyone in the audience as well. And being able to share our vision with everyone. I'm sure Marjan feels the same way as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you as well. And I will close this session with one more quotation. I don't know if you all know Pedro Domingos, and he's an expert on algorithms, and in his book, The Master Algorithm, he says, people worry that computers will get too smart and take over the world. But the real problem is that they're too stupid and they've already taken over the world. So I thought that was some food for thought. Thank you very much. And till next time.